Greetings viewers, and thanks for tuning in. I got the green 3rd gen in my sights today. When I first put this truck all together, I did not realize that the lower control arm bushings were whooped out on it. I've already replaced some ball joints, that's not a problem. I am going to replace the lower control arms with ones that have new bushings already pressed in them. It's, to me, the easiest way to do it. It's not an off-road vehicle, street-driven vehicle, so not a big deal there. I got those. We're going to do that. I put these struts on here off of another vehicle. They did not properly put the top hats and the bushings in them when they did them, and the top hats are bent and wallered out, so it's got a little clunking in the front end. Put this together with some parts like those struts off another vehicle. Didn't realize, like I say, that the lower control arm bushings were whooped out until I started braking hard, and under hard braking you could feel it pull to the left as the bushings move the wheel back under hard braking and throws it off, so it starts to pull. So anyway, all that, tore this boot here, took her on a 400 and some mile trip and tore this boot at some point and slung a bunch of grease out. So I got some attention needed given to this front end here. I'm going to take this strut out. I'm going to show you how to use this strut spring compressor here that belongs to my buddy, and he's letting me use it. It's super nice for changing out the struts. I can take them apart and show you how to do that, put new top hats and bushings and springs on. I'm not reusing this part, even though it's probably okay. I went ahead and got new ones just because I was unsure of that. I've got a matching set of the Bilstein 5100 rear shocks to put on here as well. I've already showed you multiple times how to take this all apart, so I'm probably not going to show you that. I did buy new links for the sway bars here as well, just because I didn't know if those would come off. If they do, maybe I'll return them. If not, who knows? May end up just putting them on anyway because I got them. So I've already got the new ball joints. Going to replace the lower control arms. Going to redo the strut with new top hat and new bushings. Put a new CV axle in and change the lower links. So quite a bit going on here with this one. And I'll be getting started on that. I'm not going to show you how to tear it all apart. I've done that so many times. But when I get to the meat of getting the rack off and getting the lower control arm off, I'll tune back in. Okay, just basic disassembly. I don't care about this axle hanging since I'm changing it, but I undid the ball joint from the bolt down here and just smacked this with the hammer and got it to break loose per usual. Once I undid the sway bar, it gave my lower control arm room to move. I took the bolts out of the top up here and took the bolt out of the bottom of the strut down here. Now everything is out and loose and ready to remove. I'm going to take that axle out, shove another one in real quick so I don't lose a bunch of fluid. Pull that strut out here, and I'll show you how to use that strut machine. I just went ahead and popped that axle apart there. I took the inner boot off and pulled it out. I have new boots. I got a couple I need to reboot. I'll make a video of that when the time comes anyway. But to taking the lower control arm next, these are 22s out here on the outside. You can see I went through and marked my alignment cams in a few different places. I'm going to try and put that back in the same place I took it off. Did the same thing on the back side. You got to loosen up the power steering rack and scooch it back to get that bolt out. I'll show you that part when I get to it. Going to take this front one out first and then I'll go from there. Once you get the bolt out, it just pulls out from the center. On the other side is the other adjusting cam. It's got these detents in the back of it where it fits on the other piece. That's still up in there. And you just pull it out, provided yours aren't all frozen in place. It's got all my markings on it so I can put it back where it goes. I'll put all those pieces over here together. And then I'll move on to the other side. I can get it loose and I can get the inner cam out. If I can pull it forward far enough, I can squeeze that bolt out under the boot and not have to remove the power steering rack. Let me see if I can make that happen. All right, so I don't know who I was fooling. I thought I could get that bolt out under that boot. Oh, right there, that bolt out under that boot. And not happening. This 22 right here has to come loose. I know it looks greasy under here, but the other engine leaked and I didn't clean all this crap off when I changed engines, but currently not leaking. You need a crooked 19. There's the bottom of the bolt right there, so you can get to it from up here, but you can't quite get a ratchet and a socket in there, but you can get this crooked 19 wrench in there and get on it from up above, up here. So anyway, I got to take the rack loose. You don't have to do those two yet. You can. They're 19s also, because you're going to have to when you get over to this side, but you don't have to take them loose because you're only going to move the rack a little bit. I'll probably pull the whole thing loose while I'm over here though. Be right back. Alright, using a Toyota bottle jack underneath the rack, I was able to raise the rack up enough to get these adjusters out once I got all of the rack bolts out. These just starting to show a little bit of rust on them here, so I'm going to take them over and polish them up and grease them up real well before I put them back in. Everything is out currently. I'm going to change that axle real quick, get these put back in, lower the rack back in place, bolt it on. I'll show you still how to do the strut thing, and we'll move on, here we being me. The new control arm. And then I grease inside these slots because that's where these pins go in. And if they get corroded and froze up in there, that's when you can't get an alignment. You got to cut these out. So I grease this up after I cleaned it real good on the wire wheel. And then grease the insides of these. And I grease the bushing part too, just so they slide a little easier. And then it's all ready to go right back together. Alright, so I'm going to use this Strut spring compressor here. These two pieces fold down, obviously. It's supposed to be mounted to a wall, but it works on the floor just fine. You put the top of your strut in there, thusly. You bring these two arms up and into your spring. You can see the little hooker deal in the spring on each side. Then you just crank this handle till it compresses the spring. Take your nut off the end and release the handle. Well, okay, I forgot to show the putting the strut back together, but it was basically the same thing. I just cranked the spring down short, put the new strut with the spring cap on it, slid it up into place, put the bushing and the cap on the top of the washer on the top, and bolted it down. Got carried away, forgot to show that, my bad. Did go ahead and put my new link on, put a new CV axle in because I had one. Don't forget to put your bolt back in the bottom down here on your ball joint. Your 4 or 3 bolts in the top here. Your bolt for the bottom there. Put my CV axle back in. On these, I just lined them back up. I slid them back in, lined them back up on my marks, and tightened them down. So hopefully that's good. If not, they're all loose and can move, and I can go to the alignment shop. So leaving the rack loose so I can do the other side. I'm not going to show the other side. Sorry, I forgot to maybe show something on the reassembly here, but I think I've gone through this like 5 times now. But anyway, new lower control arms, new struts. New shocks will be on the back when I get around to that next, probably tomorrow, but I'm not going to show all of that because it's just duplicates of things I've showed before. If you need to know how to put on a rear shock, ask me and I'll make a video, I guess. But thanks for tuning in again to watch me tear apart another 3rd Gen 4runner. New front end, new bushings, new lower control arms, new strut, and new sway bar end links. Nice. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.